If you would ask me what is the best 13.7 plane currently, there are some very good options. On one hand, you have the F-15JM, which is today's featured guest on this video. On the other hand, you also have something like the Gripen, the upcoming F2, or even things like the J-11B, the normal F-15C, or also the Su-27SM. And I know some might say the Su-27SM is great, Megan Fox 3. The thing is, I have a skill issue with it, so I don't really like it. The Gripens, on the other hand, they are nimble fighters and are a gorgeous looking plane. However, they have another issue, which is called the lack kill pressure. They only have up to 4 Fox 3 missiles, and most of them are not that exciting. Then you have the F2, which is like an HMD, so it's already out of contention, to be completely honest. And the J-11B, which is very, very strong. The F-15C and the F-15JM. And the F-15C and the F-15JM are obviously almost carbon copies of each other, except for the Japanese one having a few major tricks up its sleeve. 2 of which, or basically both, are its missile selection. And that makes this plane, in my personal opinion, fantastic. So let's dive straight in to the missile. And let's start off firstly with the infrared version, the AAM-3. And honestly, on paper, it looks pretty darn good. Yes, it does not have something like the R-73 where it has thrust vectoring, but its fins are so big and it pulls almost immediately off the rack that it's one of the best IR missiles at top tier right now. Obviously, as soon as we are starting to get something like an IRST on planes, then it will be bested by that. But overall, the package the AAM-3 is offering you is great. It has a smokeless motor. It has shot of IRCCM. So if you don't really know how to flare it properly, you are gonna get slammed by these missiles. It also has a pretty decent range, especially at medium altitude. And I've got a lot of people which were just simply not paying attention at the considerable ranges. So already here you have a fantastic little tool. Yet I personally only really run 2 of them because, yeah, what is top tier about? Top tier is not really knife fighting, hence why the Gripens have issues at the moment at its top tier range. It's more about the long range-ish, turn in, spam your Fox 3 off, and then turn back out into a notch gameplay. And for that, yes, you do have the AIM-120As, which indeed I am also running, because you can't take more of the AAM-4s. And I know some people are saying, but Raptor, the AAM-4s have worse range than the AIM-120s. But then I'm saying, by what? It's so little range it loses that it's kind of whatever. Let's be honest, if you are spamming off your missiles at, let's say, 7k, 10k altitude, and you try to hit the target at 40 kilometers, chances are insanely high that this person will eventually dodge it by accident, simply through being kinetic, because their missile runs out of juice. So, what do you really want? Or let's put it that way, what is the issue with the AIM-120s? They don't really pull off the rack. That is why things like the Mica EM, my beloved, are amazing as they pull off straight. Now, straight bam, it goes. That is why the R-77 ones are also pretty darn good. They have an insane pull off the rack. While the spam rams, they do kind of take its time to start pulling. And here is where the AAM-4 are shining. They have an amazing pull straight off the rack, and that makes them far superior in these medium to close range engagements than something like an AIM-120. And that is why I absolutely adore the F-15JM. The missile selection with the good airframe, with countless countermeasures, and well, the RWR could be better, yes. And yes, the radar could be better. It doesn't have the thing like the Su-30SM or the Eurofighter or Rafale, where it also shows you in TWS mode what type of plane it is. You have to lock them. which is a little bit annoying, but in the end, for 13.7, it is, in my honest opinion, by far the best plane. Now, when we already know it's pretty darn good, let's have a little bit of a look-see at certain different plays, so you know what I'm talking about or what you can expect from this plane. So let's have a look at this first gameplay up here. We are pretty high altitude. We do have a down tier, which allows us to also play fairly aggressive. We did launch at somebody else on top, but the missile is not going to hit. And right now I'm trying to find some new targets, and I did see a Gripen in the back, and it's easy as just logging him up and pulling out and immediately go into the notch. Why? Because at this point I do not know if this is a Gripen A or a Gripen C, but we will see very shortly, that it's not a C but an A version. Immediately we have to turn in to defend against the Rafale. However, again, because the AAM-4 is pulled off so amazingly off the rack, we can just roll it off right there. We notch the Mica missile, and now I make a crucial mistake by completely brain farting, like, why am I not even flaring? I saw that there was no missile trail. Whoops, I guess. Moving on, we just defended a little bit at higher altitude. We didn't launch anything off or didn't even consider thinking getting a kill. We did spot someone down below. We gifted him a little AAM free, and he already died to another missile. But there is another multi-jet down below. I guess he wants to do a little bit of Anakin Skywalker or Luke Skywalker, and the trench run didn't really work out for him. And now I do make, in my opinion, a crucial mistake. Right now, I'm fired up. Guys, already got a kill, you know, we want to keep on pushing, we want to get some clips and stuff like that. And I start pushing into quite a big furball, because this is now where the furball develops. You know, the enemies are all coming from the left, from their left side to our right side, and we immediately have to start notching a missile coming towards us, but it looks like we did that fairly well. The other one is coming in as well, but it doesn't really look like it's going to be a big problem, as we just notched them all out of the way and rolled out of the Seeker. Now we do have to try and take this mountain here, which actually is a mountain, for cover, and we can continue shooting off. But at this point I already made a massive mistake when it comes to my positioning. I'm right in the middle of the enemy team. We did get off screen another kill, another severe, and yeah, I'm not really properly looking what is happening behind me. I thought there was something else, but yeah. We get one more missile off against the Rafale, and he does the same. We immediately go into notch, so we are able to dodge his Mica, but there was something from behind which ultimately killed me. Yes, we get a lot of kills here, but I did a positional mistake and I die for it. Here we have another clip which you will probably sooner or later notice what it was about, and you can see there is a missile coming in at me quite fast. I tried to get a lock onto the launch plane, but I didn't manage to, so now I do have to start going in defense. At this point I did not know what type of missile it is, but we do whatever is necessary anyway, aka put it into a 90 degrees, start chaffing, and then change altitude, go up or down to get out of the missile seeker's FOV. I still try desperately to get a lock on him. I see the missile again, and we once again go into the notch, chaff, go down, go even into the multipath, and we notice it's an Su-27. At this point, you will probably see the dumbest dogfight ever, because obviously we both are absolute dents. I tried to shoot an AM-3 at him, but it didn't work out. It somehow missed, even though it did not lose track. I try another one, but yeah, right now we are so stupid. We are literally just spamming missiles at each other like absolute dinguses. I like, there's nothing else to say. We are just absolute dinguses. I did lock him up here with an AAM-4, but it crashes into the ground, and so does he right about now. So yeah, maneuver kill, I guess. Yippee, didn't get anything from it, and it was the dumbest dog fight ever, if I have to be completely honest. Now going a little bit forward, we are once again already defending in the same match from one or even two missiles. We will see in just a bit when we have a look at the Sensor view, we are hiding behind this mountain because that way indeed we have the opportunity to completely break lock with the enemy team. After knowing that they most likely miss completely or the missiles are already dead, I tried to find something new. This one probably a MiG-15 because it was very slow, because obviously there are bots and they are also called a multi-jet. We are now trying to look around. Okay, who shot at us? It should be very important to know that this was, as far as I'm aware, an Su-30 or Su-27 and something like a Mirage. We do launch another missile at this guy down below, and he does a pretty decent job at dodging it. And now we have to go defensive. We made, because we wasted so many missiles beforehand, completely stupid. Completely stupid. I have to go much lower and go into multipathing range, and now we see the Su-30 from before. We stay low and I make a crucial mistake by wasting this missile as he was already flying into a notch. Again, I am also not the best air pilot at the moment. I'm still learning, you know, it's a learning experience. It's also very good to sometimes check out your replays. However, you can see this was the replay where this guy pulled up in front of us and he was not him at this point. We have a nice gun solution now onto this Eurofighter as well, which tried to kill us, and we get a quick kill in. And I think you know how this is going to end, that the flat spinning Su-30 was still able to HMD R73 us. But still, 2 kills, we take that. Let's have another quick look at this in sensor view, and yes, already at the beginning we had to defend a little bit from some high altitude shots, and once again we go into the notch, and as soon as we are in the notch, we start to do some chaffing and then change our course very slightly. You can see we just pulled a little bit up on the R77 once. IOG kind of got blind, looked down, and is now trying to search where we have been. And that is how we defeated this long-range R77-1 very easily. But there is still a missile warning, tracking warning coming in, and this time it is the R27ER from the Su-27. But once again, we go into a notch and it is super easy to defeat that missile because we have to notch the launch aircraft, the Su-27 in that regard, and it doesn't really have any good chaff filters in that regard. And as we start to go very high, you know, the missile tends to turn off its PD, or the radar turns off its PD filter, and it's super easy to notch. While I almost did gave the ground its another kill for its impeccable 0 deaths to 1 billion kills. Yeah, it was fine. We now are doing our funny joust. Again, here I really don't know how this missile missed. It looks like it simply didn't have enough pull in it or something. I don't know, maybe he did flare in just the right spot. And yeah, now you can see the absolute dented mess which we were doing there. So yes, obviously I should have used my gun. While his R73 is doing the known spinny tactic, he kind of pulled so hard on his stick with the AOA limiter that he completely slams it into the ground. And we get out of here. Once again, jumping forward, we now have a Mica EM and R77-1 coming forward towards us. I did launch off a missile. Once again, we go in a notch. We are using chaff, and as soon as we are chaffing, we are also changing our trajectory to give the IOG seeker or the IOG the wrong input. And obviously, as we are now behind the mountains, it's not a big deal to defeat these missiles regardless. It was just an additional safety measurement in that regard. Turning back in, you most likely know what is now going to happen. The Su-30 SM is still trying to shoot at us while we are trying to get another kill potentially. Yes, as said in the beginning, we were first looking at a bot here with the MiG-15, but then we also had to look at the Su-30. And yeah, once again, we immediately get launched at again. I notice it, and once again, we do the same thing as ever. We start to pull into a notch, and as soon as we achieve it roughly, we can start using the chaff to kind of try to distract the missile. But this one was fairly... it really loved the angle gate, but I also knew that I am going low, and I did see the missile diamond going above me, so I knew it was fine. But this one was fairly annoying. Really strong missile there. Angle gated once again. And here you can see my big mistake. The Su-30SM basically perfectly did notch this missile, and you can see it even latched onto the chaff, which is something which doesn't really happen that often anymore. And we have to stay low. He even used an R-73 as well, and get a nice little kill right there. And now there is nothing really else to say, as we also get the Eurofighter jumping right in front of our guns. You can see now the IR missile seeker head, and you know what happens if you're not flaring properly, or not even flare at all because you didn't notice the missile coming to you, you die. And as a final clip, we have the one of my latest shorts, which is a little bit longer, where we made a terrible mistake of going basically fully into the enemy team. Launching at the F-15, he, well, doesn't notch it, he doesn't multipath it, he slams it straight into the ground. And yeah, I guess that was not really good. Here we have an R-77-1 coming towards us, but we were already in the notch. We deploy chaff, pull down, and we immediately defeat the missile. And this is how it looked like in sensor view. You can see as soon as we pull down after the notch, the missile seeker head is looking upwards because that was the last information he had before I went into a notch and chaffed, and it was defeated. But now obviously more missiles are incoming, and now I don't really have time anymore to do a notch or anything, so we have to take these very, very, very annoying splash damages. I also did kind of misplayed there, pulling a little bit too high up, but the missile didn't fuse, and here you can see why I absolutely adore the AM3s. The distance is fairly far, but like, it just pulls off the drag so well, and he doesn't flare it properly, and bada bam, bada boom, he is gone. Another missile is coming in from above, and here we really just have to pray that it's not slamming straight into us because of the multipathing. But it did miss, which is fantastic. And because I was so slow, as I was already damaged, you know, damaged airframes really lose a lot of speed. I can turn inside the Mirage, but it's like my only opportunity I have. And we launched that AM3 right into his noggin, I would say. And he jays out as there's nothing left to do. And finally, we still have one more F-15 coming towards us, and he is shooting a missile at us, which is fairly annoying when it comes from so high up. I do have to do the multipathing here. I think you just heard the impact into the ground, and here I make the biggest mistake. It's like, hey, I'm crippled anyway, let's try to get one more kill. He's hard committing, even though he had everything he needed. Yeah, we both trade. And with that, I would say, thank you so much for watching. Let me know how you enjoyed this video. My name is RagingRaptor, and I will love to see you around. So don't forget to subscribe, join my Discord server to yap about everything World of Tanks and War Thunder related, and I'll see you around. Cheers.